Eddie Carrera.
And I'm Jojo, the stylist.
And welcome to
the Power Pair Podcast. This week on the Power Pair Podcast, we sit with the powerhouse herself,
Miss Edna De Saro.
That's a really sweet intro, guys. Thank you so much for having me on your show today.
Thank you for coming.
I'm really humbled, and this is so much fun to just sit here and talk to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you for trusting us. Thank you for
course.
considering us.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, let's chat.
All right. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Just a rough draft.
All right, so I am a native of the Bergen Valley. I was actually born in Laredo, for those of you that don't know that. I was born in Laredo, Texas, but I was raised here in McAllen. So we moved here to McAllen when I was a very young girl. Went to school here in McAllen, went off to college in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, go Horned Frogs. And then I came back to the Bergen Valley. I came back for love, came back to help my mother and my father, because my father had fallen ill when I was in college. And so I just started working, and before I knew it, I was in banking for over 25 years. Am I aging myself here? And then after being in banking for so long, I do in bank marketing and public relations because that's my passion. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna start my own PR and marketing firm. So I did that while I was still in banking. I had it as a little side gig, and my little side gig became a big gig. And so now I decided to go solo with my PR firm.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Amazing.
Congratulations. Those are
First
big milestones.
generation college graduate because
the
first generation in my family to go to college.
And then the huge heart coming back to take care of your family.
Yes. I came back for love, and I always like to share that with people because I think that really shows that sometimes the biggest decisions that we make in life, we have to do them out of not for ourselves, but it's selfless love. And I did that for my parents.
Nice.
Well, we're going to have some questions here. I'm so excited to have you here with us. My first question is, when did you know that you were going to be a leader? Like, did it happen on the playground? Was it like, did you just know, you're such an amazing woman, and I think you're very empowering. And I think that you're so well, you use the words that don't sound like you're telling them, this is what I need you to do. It comes out so nicely, but you're such a strong woman.
Well, I'm not sure if everybody would say I'm real nice sometimes because maybe they'll say I'm strict. But I come across on the strict side, and in business, you have to understand my entire career was in bank marketing, right? So I worked in a very man-dominated environment, and being a men's environment. One of the things I absolutely love about the way men do business is they're no funky business. It's strictly business, straight to business, no emotions, don't wear your emotions on your sleeve. And so I basically my entire career, I developed it around men, right, in banking. And so I always admired and I learned from them from afar in the sense that I thought, you have to be strong to be able to make decisions and to be able to enforce things. Soft, but yet strong. And so I guess it probably started in the playground where I said I want to be a leader, and I was always like the instigator of my group of friends in a positive way, like let's do this and let's go tetherball and let's do whatever and it kind of went through grade school, went through college. I was in student government, I was president of my sorority, I did all sorts of stuff, and so maybe being a leader has just been natural to me. But I don't think it's because I wanted to be on a platform or anything like that, because I've learned so much about myself now as a grown adult. I've learned that it's just because I love to make things happen. It's not even because I want the spotlight on me, because if you really truly know me, I'm a very private person. But my job being in marketing and PR puts me out in the forefront because that's what I do for a living.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to my space, I'm very private.
I love that. I love that.
Alrighty, Miss Edna. You climbed into high-level corporate positions. What was the hardest room you ever had to walk into?
Well, definitely in banking, obviously that was a big part of my career, right? Being in banking. I did start very bottom, and at the tail end of my career, I had the pleasure of being an executive vice president. And as a Latina, as a woman, as a minority, I felt like, wow, I had already accomplished so much, because in a male-dominated environment, it's difficult to climb up a level of leadership. But my job was my life, my career, my love. I loved doing what I was doing, marketing and advertising, and making those around me shine and look like $1 million. No pun intended, because it was banking. But so probably the hardest room that I ever walked into was my first board meeting. So first board meeting is when I knew that, you come to these meetings prepared. I was prepared, thank you, Lord. You always walk into every meeting prepared. You always walk into every meeting ready to contribute. And so I knew at a very young age in my career that I was in an environment where I had to contribute. Mm-hmm. So yeah, most definitely a boardroom. That really long table, like what you see in the movies, and you're sitting around a group of people that have big investments. They're big shareholders. They've got their life investments, and they've got their heart into that business. And they're trusting you as an executive or as a leader in their organization to make the money and make the right decisions for the company. That's a huge responsibility.
That's amazing. And I can only imagine, because I think that every woman, when you walk into a room that's dominated by men, sometimes we get those feelings of, okay, I have to show proof. Like, I've got to show what I've got here, because the first thing that I think they're thinking when they're looking at you, and you're a beautiful blonde woman, is that she's just a face. She's just a Barbie, And I feel like that many times when I walk into a room, so I can only imagine how that felt to walk into a board meeting where it's dominated by men, and they're talking all their finance, and there's no man wants to lose money. No man wants to give away money. No woman for that case. Nobody's going to give away money.
For sure.
So I can only imagine what that felt like. But you do it so well and with so much class. And you've always carried yourself, since I've known Edna, with just so much poise that I could never tell that you were under distress or in any kind of, heated position. You always you kept it together, and that's really amazing.
Well, I've learned to stay cool, calm, and collected, the 3 C's. And if you're prepared, it's normal to be nervous. Yeah. You're going to be nervous even when you're very well prepared, because you want to come across the right way. And I think, I've learned to not be so winded. Mm-hmm. Sometimes in my early years of my career, I was really trying to really make a point with a marketing campaign or an advertising campaign, because I'm so passionate. Mm-hmm. And so I think I was a little winded at times in my career, which is funny. And then you learn to be more tactical and communicate more like a man. Less is more, always. Less is more.
Oh. So Edna, when did you first know, when did you realize it's time for me to open my own marketing agency? What was like that leap of faith?
It's interesting, because while I was in my career, in my banking career, I was getting just my own I'm not going to say customer base, but my circle of friends in the business community. Yeah, my network, my circle of influence, or whatever we want to call it. They were reaching out to me and asking me to do consultant work for them, helping them put together advertising campaigns for businesses. And at the time, it just fell on my lap. I started doing contract work without really having a structured business.
I love that.
And so then they started asking me for invoices, and I was like, well, what do you mean? And they were like, well, send me an invoice. And I'm like, well, whatever you want to pay me, I don't even know what to charge.
I've been like, give me just one day.
It's just, I haven't really thought about this in a really long time, but I'm being completely honest here. One time I was just like, an invoice, right? I had written an entire advertising campaign, but the invoice was what I was hurtling over. Like, oh, that's really difficult. I just wrote your advertising campaign, but you want an invoice. Okay, how do I do that? And a lot of people can just download a PDF online or something. But it was because when it comes from a place of love and what you love to do, you're not thinking about, oh, I'm going to invoice. You're thinking about creating something fruitful.
Yes.
And so my passion and the way I said, okay, then I guess I should structure my business is because before I knew it, I needed to do a lot of invoices, and then it was like, okay, I really need to make this a little more formal and create a small business, and that's how I became a small business owner.
It's amazing.
Nice. It's great.
I love that because I think there's so many persons out there that are working under a company or doing something but not for themselves and are wanting to branch off. And it
Yeah.
can be in any field, you know.
I mean,
stylist.
Yeah, listen, I know people that have started their big businesses that they have today out of their trunk.
Yes.
Because maybe they were selling food out of their trunk of their car on ice chest, or baking at their home, and then before you know it, it was like, wait a minute, so now I really have to create a business because, you know, they've grown. And
Yeah.
honestly, that's what happened to me, and that's how I ended up opening up my agency.
And
Let's talk obstacles. What was the setback that almost broke you?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So a setback that almost broke me. There's been a few. You know, I'm a human being, and I have to tell you that there's been a few. A very big setback, and this is probably a little more personal, was the death of my father. That was a huge setback. You know, to lose somebody that is such an important person in your life, and somebody that really showed me what, you know, true love was, and humbleness, and just all the good in me is my father. The corazón and the passion and all that, that's all my dad. So that was a huge setback, you know. And then, you know, just some situations in my personal life have also created some setbacks for me, in the sense that they put me back, they grounded me, in the sense that they made me realize where I could grow emotionally even more, and realize to not put my happiness in other people's hands, and really learn to be happy organically and be happy yourself, and not put your happiness in somebody else's hands, because it's so easy for us to want to be loved,
Yes.
and to put our happiness in somebody else's hands, and then they let us down, and
Yeah.
you think that that's you that's failed, and it's not you. It's called life, you know. And life has ups and downs, and I think that's what, now I say, that's what makes life so beautiful, is all the imperfections, right? And so I've learned to embrace and to grow emotionally, and to become a more solid person, so that the setbacks in my life of being disappointed and being let down by those around me that maybe at the time, you know, weren't sure about whether it was a relationship or a business transaction or whatever it may be, I've learned to not divert or project that towards me. It's just business. It's the life, you know.
Yeah.
Relationships work and they don't work, and business works and then business goes sour, and you know, that's just life, you know. And I think that's what makes it so beautiful.
I do too. I
Yes.
love that.
You
I
know.
do think that
And so real.
and so real,
Yes.
you know, and we're
Yes.
going to go through those emotions. And I feel like I've learned one thing very similar, never to expect. If you don't expect, then you're not going to be let down.
Correct.
And
Absolutely.
that's hand in hand with what you said.
Mhm.
And never to allow, like you said, anyone else to create my happiness. So if I can't be happy completely on my
Yes,
own,
yes.
then I'm not going to be happy with anybody.
Like, make your
Yes.
own garden.
Yes.
You know, make your own garden. Like, don't. And so I've taken those and obstacles, setbacks, whatever we want to call them, life. We'll
Yes.
call it life for today. I've taken life, and it's made me stronger.
yeah.
So I took it in, and yes, I've cried. Yes, I've been in my little fetal position at times and doubted myself in every single way as a human being. But at the same time, it's made me stronger. It's made me even more vulnerable, and I think more beautiful, not physically, I mean beautiful here,
Yes.
to make me realize that it's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel emotions, and to feel a loss, and to feel the setback, because there's always the comeback.
Yes.
Love that.
Yes. Love. So Miss Edna, what does momentum look like for you? How do you keep things going when they start to slow down, when you start to slow down as an entrepreneur, as a woman still working in a high, elevated business setting? How do you keep it going?
I really think it's that drive, it's that hunger that you have inside of you. I come from very humble beginnings. I was raised in a home with a lot of love, but in a home where I saw my parents struggle to make ends meet. And I feel like I'm not ashamed, to talk about that part of my life, because I think it was beautiful. They taught me that you have to keep going and you never give up and you keep moving forward and you stay strong and you stay steadfast, and call it terca, call it, hardworking, we camouflage that in a lot of different ways. But as a business owner, that is something incredibly important, is to never give up and to always stay on target and stay focused and to keep going. Being a business owner is difficult. And sometimes you wake up and you're like, what is my passion? But as a business owner, if you don't have that passion to serve your employees, to serve your clients, to serve the people around you, then maybe entrepreneurship is not for you. Because it is a very selfless love type of thing, because you're not just thinking about yourself. You have to think about the fact that other people are relying on you for their paycheck, right? And so it's like, if I don't get out of bed and I don't go make this happen, then the 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 people that are on my payroll, how are they going to get paid? So you have to be selfless. And what keeps it going is the fact that when you love what you do, is it even work?
No,
It's fun.
it's not
It's
working.
not,
It's not.
it's like when you love what you're doing, it's not even work. And so to keep going is so easy.
I love that you shared that, because
Yes.
I know that there have been several times where when I've really fall, when I get sick, I've woken up times and I'm in tears thinking, you need to just snap out of it. Nobody's gonna bring me soup. Nobody's gonna, say,
Yeah.
take the day off, it's okay, because you have to be everywhere. And
Yes.
there's so many mouths that rely on you, even just in my home, right? So I think, and I remember this one time, it was recent and I got the flu, and I was like, I'm so exhausted, but I just have to put that face on,
Yeah, for sure.
And then, like you said, you get to a place where you love what you do. So as soon as you walk into your office, you're like, okay.
Yeah, like all of a sudden you feel great. And you're
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
this is what I love to do. And we're so blessed, right?
We are
To do what we
super
love to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
Perfect. What's the biggest misconception about marketing today?
Wow, that's an interesting
Yes.
question. So I think the biggest misconception about marketing, especially as you're selling services, you're selling marketing
Yes.
and PR services, is where people say, well, I would love to, but I don't really need that for my business. And
Every business.
And that's a
needs that.
misconception, because every business, small, medium, large, needs a presence, because you have a story to tell. And you may think, well, I really don't have a story to tell. I just have this bakery. And then before you know it, and you start peeling the onion back, you're like, and how did you get started? And then they tell me. And then what was the first time you had your customer? And that's another layer. And then before you know it, I'm like, see? You do have a story. Everybody
Yes.
has a story of how they started. And as consumers, we appreciate, the challenges that small business, owners. I always say small businesses are the heartbeat of our economy, because we employ so many people in our neighborhoods and our communities. Thankfully to small businesses like yourself and
Yes.
like you, Jojo, you're able to create jobs and opportunities for other people, and you should be very proud of yourself. But the biggest misconception is that people quickly think, oh, no, I'm a small business, I don't really need that. And I think when you're a business owner and you're looking for the right marketing and PR firm, you really have to start by doing an interview and really find that chemistry. I know it sounds funny, because
Yes.
you're probably thinking, well, what do you mean? This isn't a relationship. It
Yeah.
absolutely
It's
is.
a date.
Yeah.
It is. So
You have to
we're
find your
on a
niche.
date. So
Your niche.
let's have a meeting. Let's have a date. Let's have
Yes.
coffee. Let's talk about it. And see if I'm going to interview you and you're going to interview me. And I'm going to see. That's how I am with my clients.
I love that.
And let's see
Great.
if we like each other, and we like each other in the momentum of work. I'm a nose,
So what do you
and
do
so
when you don't like somebody? Do you say the rose is not yours?
So it's I'm so blessed
How do
that
you
it has not
yes.
happened to me yet, but I've had some customers or some clients in the past where they can't keep up with my pace. And so I've had to help them, motivate them to keep going and to move fast, because marketing and advertising, it's all about stay fresh, stay on your toes, keep things moving.
Motivating them, for
Yeah.
sure. I feel like that's a good, going back onto the topic of like the misconception, you know, when I first started, that's what I said, you know, why do I need a marketing team? And once I hired our first marketing team and they helped us grow our business or our brand where we're at now, and now I see why a marketing team matters.
Absolutely. And when you're looking for the right team to work with you, always realize that that's what you have to do. You have to interview them.
Correct, yes.
And just
I
get
agree.
to know people, because we're all humans.
Yes.
I'm not a robot. I'm a human. And so just talk to me, right? Talk to your marketers and find out if you have the same vision for your business. If you're, you know, it's important. And you know what? If after 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, it didn't work out, it's not the end of the world. You know, I can still bump into you at HEB and wave at you and say hi to you, and life goes on. Life is too short.
You can
to
still
be
support their
in
business in other ways.
Yes.
They're coming!
Absolutely. Like, you have to be positive. And so interview your marketing firms and figure out if they're a right fit for you.
Yeah, so question, as a consumer, how do I distinguish, or how can I, you know, bring that marketing team onto,
What you're trying to
to my vision? How can I create a vision for them so they can help our business grow or our brand grow?
So that's a very good question. So the way businesses can give us direction, marketers and or PR professionals in my field, is by telling me what your vision is for your brand. So don't tell me where you're at now. Tell me where you envision yourself. Because imagine creating a vision board. So even if you go, well, I dream of someday doing this, but not in until 5 years from now. We'll put it up on the board. If your vision is to have 3 or 4 different locations, tell me that, because I'm going to get you there. So let's talk about where you're going, right? And so your marketing tactics and your marketing message should all be in line with where you're projecting yourself to be, whether it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now. That's how I work with my clients. Tell me what the end goal is, whether it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. What do you dream to be? You know, like I remember one of my very first campaigns I ever put together, I walked into the boardroom and I said, we are this. And of course, I was calling them something, and I don't want to disclose to keep the privacy of my client. I was calling them something that they clearly weren't, right? And I remember one of the board members said, but we're not. And I said, but you want to be. And they were like, well, yes. And I said, well, I'm going to call us that. And lo and behold, got them there.
Amazing.
So that's marketing.
Love that.
Amazing.
Yes.
That's the Leo in you.
Yeah.
So for our last and final question, what advice would you give to a new up-and-coming entrepreneur?
Definitely discipline. You know, as an entrepreneur, it is very important to be disciplined. And discipline shows up in so many different layers of our life. It shows up from the routine that you have at home, from the time that you wake up. What are you doing to love yourself in the morning? Are you working out? Are you brushing your teeth? Are you doing your skincare? Right? Are you taking care of yourself, loving on yourself? That's part of discipline. And then of course, you know, when you're running a business, and if you are serious about being an entrepreneur, discipline needs to be a part of your life in every step of the way. You have to show up whether you want to be there or not. And so passion is also another ingredient. So if I was making like a sauce here, you know, I would sprinkle, you know, the discipline. I would sprinkle the passion, because without the passion, I mean, you might as well just go home, because you're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. You're going to have days where you're just kind of doubting yourself, you know, and going, is this really what I want to do? Am I really good at this? I can't find a client, or I can't, you know, whatever. But if you stay with the passion, what's driving you to be where you're at today, and you are taking care of the clients around you, business is going to come. People are going to hear about you. You're going to have your friends and family refer people to you, and then that's the beauty of every business.
That's the beginning, but the end is the sky.
Yeah, the limit is the sky.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Edna, for being here with us today, for sharing everything that you did. I truly, we truly hope that this reaches
Yes.
someone that's going through maybe one of these struggles, and this can help you or push you through, give you some encouragement. If you have any other questions, though, please feel free to message us.
Yeah.
'Cause we
If
thank
you are,
so much
yeah.
for having me on the show,
Yes.
Erica and JoJo. I really appreciate that. I was humbled to be invited.
Signing off on the Power Pair podcast, I'm JoJo the Stylist.
Edna De Saro.
And Erika Herrera.
Bye.
Bye.